So welcome, officially welcome everyone. I guess I said hi to almost everyone here, but Barbara that just connected, who else? Samia and our friend Vladimir. Did I miss anyone here or someone? If not, you can say at least good evening. Rosaura, yes, Rosaura. And so I guess you guys got my email and the proposal for a meeting today. And I was reflecting about our last two meetings. And one of the things that I think is very good for us to always do is to really pay attention, despite of the teaching that we bring here in the PowerPoint, is the weekly assignment. And because we're not able to do the weekly assignment of lesson 4 and lesson 5, so I guess would be crucial for us to not let this go, So I think today we're going to concentrate basically on that two message. So I assume that everybody read the two message. If you didn't have time to read, everybody read the two message and kind of like highlight what you would like to share with the group. If you don't want to share, that's fine. It's not mandatory that you share. This is more a personal exercise. But since we are in a study group, I think sometimes when we share what is a highlight for us personally, we also help the group as well, because we level ourselves with all the other, participants as well. But before we go to the message, I just would like to highlight a little bit what we have studied. For example, in the lesson 4, we studied about mediumship education and unfoldment. And of course, we touch in the definition of mediumship and the type of mediumship, those that come spontaneously, but also those that is kind of like a challenge. They spontaneously come like slowly, and there is no physical or emotional um, um, component that will like disturb the medium. So those and also we have also those type of mediumship that is more ostensible, that really brings some emotional imbalance to the medium. And as if we don't know how to identify those symptoms, so we may spend the rest of our life, go to the doctor and trying to find out what's the problem that we have. And sometimes would be an unbalanced mediumship. Also, we talk about the importance of the spirit center as a place that we can exercise this faculty in a very, I would say, safe way, because this approach of this faculty that we have been studying is under of the Spiritist teachings. Of course, we have mentioned that other philosophers also touching in this subject, because mediumship is not a faculty that was created by Spiritism. Spiritism just offer a framework that how can we exercise this faculty, helping those that are in the other side, but also helping us to understand us better by get to know what's going on in our mind as well. So pretty much the lesson 4, we touch in those subject of mediumship. We discuss about especially the symptom of mediumship, and how people respond to that. And of course, if you look for a spirit center, what kind of activity and training you have to do it. What we have been doing here is following pretty much the recommendations that Kardec has put in the medium's book. And of course, in order for us to do this training, we need also to know the basis of spiritism. That is pretty much what we learn from the spirit's book, from the medium's book, and the whole codification. So, does any one of you has any question regards to lesson number 4? Or any comment on that? Dom?
I think at one of the meetings you were describing sort of the difference between like a clairvoyant person and a medium. But it seems what this is to do is to basically provide training for people to become mediums. And I'm wondering, isn't it seems like there's a very close relationship between mediumship and clairvoyance, and why wouldn't you want to do both?
Yeah, clairvoyance, in the sense of the definition, we explained this before, that medium is someone that's in the middle, okay? It's someone that has the capacity to transmit, the message or the emotions from a discarnate spirit, okay? So you work as a medium, an intermediary, okay? Clairvoyant, and for that kind of exercise, this is done perispirit to perispirit. So the capture of the information is, if it is like a emotional manifestation, will be from the perispirit to perispirit, and of course mind to mind. So in the case of clairvoyance, is the spirit that goes and see and participate in the act and report back. So there is a slight difference. But when we study mediumship, we bring those because those, like clairvoyance, double seeing, double vision, all this is a attribute that belongs to the medium, okay? The person itself. Not necessarily the person is the intermediary, because the person doesn't need an intermediary. The person can participate directly in that act, okay? For example, clairvoyance is someone that is able, being in a place, to see what's happened. So I'm going to give an example to you. In mediumship meetings, okay, when not mediumship meetings. Once when I started to do this training about like 20 years ago, so there is one person in the mediumship meeting. So just to explain how a mediumship meeting is, under spiritist coordination, okay? So we have the ostensible medium, we have the people that sit in the table that they just support, they just bring their good thoughts to create a good environment. We have the person that talks to the spirit that comes through the medium, because once the medium is in trance, they may not be, so they are transmitting the thought from the spirit. So we need to have a second person to talk to the spirit. The medium itself, in that moment, he cannot talk to the spirit because it depends on the type of spirit. They are just being an instrument for the spirit that doesn't have a physical body to manifest their concern, their suffering, and then the that we call, I forgot to say this in English, the one that talked to the spirits.
Counselor.
The counselor, the spiritist counselor. He's the one, or her is the one that talked to the spirit that is acting upon the medium. So, but in those kind of meetings, we may have people that during the time that these interactions happen, and I witness this, I participate in a medium's meeting, that there is a gentleman in this meeting that during the time that all these things happen, he can see it. He can see, it's not a spirit showing to him. He has the capacity to concentrate, and he can see the scene or the situation that that spirit was talking about, you know? Or sometime when there is no spirit manifestation in the meeting, he also has his own experience, and he was not a ostensible medium to see what's happened in another place. This is clairvoyance. So that is, the person has the ability and to go witness thing and come back and replace. So how this thing happened? The spirit of the person somehow emancipate and go to places and see it. We need to remember that when we talk about the spiritual world, we are talking about a environment that space and time, especially time, is relative, completely relative, and probably doesn't exist, you know? So it's something that's continuous. So in that sense, Dom, just to clarify this, by definition, a clairvoyant is someone that has the capacity to see things and report back without a spirit telling him. Is this a kind of mediumship? Yes, it is a mediumship. You know, because when we talk about mediumship, we talk about a faculty that someone has that is capable to experience things that go beyond matter, you know. So I hope I clarify this explanation. But if we go to the technical definition, so we would say that clairvoyant, psychic phenomenon is a attribution from the medium that has this capacity to do without the interference or participate of a spirit. One thing that I mentioned when we discuss about this is that all mediums, ostensible medium in the sense that you receive, you hear, and we are able to transmit the idea of a spirit, a discarnate spirit. They also can be psychic, okay? Psychic in the sense because we use our mind, okay? But not all psychic in the sense that the person that do this without interference of spirit is a ostensible medium. The line is very thin because we don't know exactly how to separate these two experience, you know. So I hope I clarified this. What I'm gonna do before we finish this training, I'll search for some like text that explain this very well technically, so we can really understand when we study different kinds of mediumship, different types of mediumship. Good. Anyone else has any question related to, you know, the lesson number 4? I know that has been like a couple of weeks that we have been studying the subject, but I just, before we go to the assignment, so the lesson number 5, that was the one we did last week, we talk about spirit, matter, and fluids. And then we discuss about the elements of the universe. So we mentioned that, you know, we have two basic elements, that is the spirit, that is represent the intelligence part of the creation, and the material principle that represent the material part of the creation. And also we have the universal cosmic fluid that is important to help the spirit be connected to matter. And under all this thing, we talk about the universal cosmic fluid as being this primitive cosmic matter from where everything's originate. So, and then we discuss a little bit about spirit, the attribute of spirit. So with spirit, they are immortal, they are individualized, A spirit has reason compared to the other elements of the creation. And also there is different orders of spirits. So we talk about matter, basically explain that matter comes from different, from a single primordial type of matter. And also we discuss about fluids, that is a derivation of this primitive matter. And when we talk about fluid, we mention about the ethereal fluid, ethereal, that fills the universe, fills the space. And also we spend quite of time discussing about the modification of this fluid that we generate different forces. And I remember that we brought the ones that was in the PowerPoint, that was gravity, cohesion, attraction, affinity, electromagnetism. And then we have this discussion with Juliana about the more current update and definition of those forces. And thank you, Juliana, for your feedback on that. So what I did, of course, as all students do, I went back and studied a lot that, So, and I learned about the fundamental force of the universe, about that is about, let me see if I remember now, about the gravitational force, that is the force between between bodies, and I was surprised to know that the gravitational force is the weakest force that defined by physics, And we have the electromagnetic force, the strong force, and the weak force. That the strong and the weak force is just related with the nuclear force, basically, and they also call it strong interaction or weak interaction as well. And we observe this in the subatomic environment. So they are not force that we observe like in terms of distance. So they are completely negligent, But so I read about this, I watched some stuff, and think because this is not a physics study, but it's from my own uh, uh, learning. So and then I would like to update that it was nowadays Kardec pretty much would use those definition instead, the ones that we put in the PowerPoint. Anyone has any question about last week? Go ahead, Alba. Albita.
Yes, Daniel, I would like for you if you could elaborate a little bit more, talking about the three basic elements of the universe: God, spirit, and matter. And between spirit and matter is the universal cosmic fluid, right? So I have an idea what it is, but then in the chapter 5 or the lesson 5, it says that all substances are matter. So I would like to see what's the difference between substance and fluid.
I think this is more technical information. So fluid here is in the physics sense that flows, okay? Flows, okay? In the sense that everything that comes to your mind that flows. That's why we call the universal cosmic fluid, because fills the universe. They go penetrate bodies. You know what I mean? The same way that, for example, smoke could be a fluid because flows. Fluid in this sense of flow, that there is no shape, that can penetrate bodies. That's the only thing that comes to my mind. So when we talk about substance, it's something more elaborate in the sense that has already a form. You know what I mean? So when we start like the first chapter of, I'm sorry, when you read the Genesis, where Kardec talk more about this, and here is something, when we talk about science, we are talking about what Kardec in that time, in the end of 19th century, what was already available. There is a lot of things that evolved, that science redefined it, okay? So what the spirits brought to us was this basic information, and as Kardec says, and the spirit says, Kardec, especially Kardec says that spiritism evolves as science evolves. You know, so but that's why in spiritism we always talk about faith that's based in reason, which means that, you know, as science advanced, so things that we believe that was a miracle, or even like our faith, can also become strong because now we have evidences. So I hope I clarified what, you know, you asked.
Yeah, just to make sure. So therefore, the fluid is a form of matter?
The fluid. So let us go back. I don't want. I don't. Yeah, I don't want us to be stuck in the definition or in the technical thing, because, but it's important for us to try to understand. So by definition, what uh, we learn, especially like in the Spirit's book, the Spirit says all matter. So first, let's go back a little bit. So we define that in the universe, there is these two elements. There is three elements, basically. There is God, the Creator, and there is He created two elements. What is the two element? One is the spiritual principle. The other one was the material principle. Spiritual principle, material principle would mean that something that we don't know what's made. So the only thing that they mention is that from the spiritual principle or the intelligent principle, we evolved until become individualized. That will become the spirit that is us. And from all bodies that fills the universe, all matter that we see and matters that we don't see it is a derivation of this primordial principle, a material principle that we can call the universal cosmic fluid. We can call whatever we want. If you go to physics, they're not going to call physics is not going to call this universal cosmic fluid. This is spiritual science that call. Maybe they're going to call other name, and Juliana is here, probably can help on that I don't know. You know, dark matter, whatever, dark energy, you know. So something that fills the universe, you know, that we cannot measure, we cannot see, but there is matter because the universe has no void. Okay, Juliana, I saw you shake your head. Can you contribute with your knowledge in that? Because that's outside of my.
What I know is that we don't know what fills the space, but we the idea of void, it is not exactly defined in physics because we can generate matter and can annihilate matter in void, in vanish.
So
But
I'm gonna bring I'm gonna bring
Oh.
the spirit's definition. The spirit's definition is like there is no void in the universe, and the universe is filled with this universal cosmic fluid. That's the only thing they said, and I believe that one day we're gonna be able to discover that. Right now, and that's what you said. They cannot. Right now, science cannot yet tell what it is.
Yeah, but there was some theories, and the theories was not completely discarded, and they call ether. They call the same name. Yeah.
It has the same name. Okay, so
But
that's what.
It's not proven.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact that things not proven doesn't mean that does not exist. Maybe with the advancement of science, those things would be clarified. But here's the thing, guys. I don't want to spend too much time in the teaching of matter right now because we have a more important task today. We need to go to our weekly assignment. I just wanted to do a recap on this because it's very important. We are incarnated, we deal with matter. This is a matter spirit perispirit interaction, so it's important for us to clarify this. My suggestion to you is that if you really wanted to understand matter, we already have plenty of information online. Google. And I did what I did this week. I read and I listened a lot of, 101 about physics, about matter, and try to be more educated on this field, because has been a long time I have been attended college, more than probably 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So of course, I need to refresh my mind. And this is important. Everything that we learn about science, about us, about the universe, about the current definition of things is always good for us, enrich us, make us understand things. But I would like to move. If you have any question,
Daniel, before you move, just something,
okay.
Karina
Sorry.
here.
Karina, go ahead.
Just very, you know me, I need to kind of chunk the information and change it to understand it. So as you were talking, I was looking online, and basically I found this definition, which may not be, but a fluid is a substance that continually deforms or flows, just what you said.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the substance would be like an umbrella, and the substance is at the top, and the fluid is part of that umbrella. So if the fluid flows, it adapts.
Yes.
So it adapts to, if it is in the liquid, if it is in the gas form, it adapts to the container where it goes. So it's like the substance is at the top. There are different substances. Fluid is one of them. It's under that umbrella of substances. So that's the only way that I can kind of understand why are they using the word fluid, because of that key word. The key word is deforms or flows, which gives it the ability or capacity to be flexible, adapt, and change. It would that be kind of like a summary of?
Yeah, I guess for me, yeah, that's what I understand, but here's the thing: when the spirits mention about the universal cosmic fluid, is more complex. I mean, we are trying to use our understand of our current science and to box this information, to understand that, and there is nothing wrong with that. I think doing this comparison help us to understand. But the only thing for me is when they talk about universal cosmic fluid, the definition is that is this primordial elements that from where everything is generated. So what we see here nowadays, when we see the physical environment, everything we see is already like 10,000 transformation of this, primordial element that by definition they need to call a name, and they call universal cosmic fluid because it's universal. Mean it's not only here in this planet, but depends of the planet or the necessity or whatever we are. So it is a transformation of those universal cosmic fluid. So what we see like water, liquid, solution, I don't know. So whatever material thing is already a 10,000 times transformation of the primordial elements. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
I think Kardec wants, or the spiritists want to say about fluid in the physical way, something like you said, that flows. But substance, if I learn more in chemist, and it's very difficult to define chemically, because we don't know what kind of what is made for in terms of chemistry, in terms of atom, in terms of subatomic. We don't know. I don't know why they use substance, because I learned this in chemistry as is more than like a molecule, like you say, a gas is a fluid, but also is a substance, chemically defined substance. But when you say it's a fluid, you want to say it flows, it's a gas, something like that. But still, it's a substance.
Yeah.
So,
I think
it's defined according to what we know. Of course not, because we don't know almost anything about other. We still discovering new atoms, new things for the periodic table. So I don't know why they use this, but I learn in chemistry substance, and fluid is physics.
And I think that's more the question of, using our language. I mean, like, for example, we don't know what
I think it's not worth keeping in this detail if we don't know.
yeah, exactly. That's why I says, like, if we are very curious on this subject, I think we have plenty of material. And even as Juliana says, I mean, we know that there is thing, but we cannot prove yet. There is theory, there is model stuff that people can mimic in labs and come to the conclusion, because everything that we know about the universe is by the effect, so it's by the effect, the cause. So we try to understand the cause by what we already know here. But look, guys, this is very fascinating. I also can really like spend hours and hours discussing about this. But since we have a plan, I would like to move to our weekly assignment. This weekly assignment is, I consider myself as, for example, when we studied the gospel, even the Spirit's book, there is the structure that those books are putting, especially the gospel. The gospel is, the structure is like this. We have like a passage, a biblical passage, a passage from the Bible, from the gospel, the New Testament. And then we have Kardec's discussion about that passage. And then we have the Spirit's teachings, that it is what the spirits bring on that topic to that particular subject. So the weekly assignment is pretty much that part of the Spirit's teachings. So is what the Spirit is bringing to us in this topic of mediumship, and more related to one that really wanted to exercise mediumship. So here is what everybody read these two messages, right?
Yes, but we have some.
Yes. So we have pretty much 1 hour, and we have how many people here? We have 18 people, and I would like to give opportunity to everybody to bring, so in 1 hour, which means we're gonna do half an hour, we're gonna do the lesson 1, in half an hour we're gonna do the lesson 2. I know that if you have preference for one lesson, you don't need to bring your question or your comment in both of lesson. As long as you read, and if you have any question, comment about what you read, then we're gonna discuss that particular comment. So the way we're gonna do this is like, you have to open your camera and raise your hand, because otherwise I will not be, give to you the microphone if I cannot see your hand, or I know that there is some thing in the chat here, but I prefer you to interact here with me and with one another. So who go first? Lesson 1. Let me say, lesson 1. I have the text. Yeah. Let me share my screen, so that way I think it's better for people to see. Just a minute. You guys can see my screen?
Small, too small.
Sorry.
I am at that eyesight.
Okay, just a minute. Let me. Let me put a little bit bigger here.
Oops. Great. Beautiful.
Yep. Better now.
How is now?
Beautiful.
Good.
Good. Okay, so the first is from Emmanuel. It's called Beginner Medium, and from the book Study and Live. Yeah? So it is not in English. Who wanna go first?
Daniel, I can
Yes.
go first. I have problem with my camera here, my computer here, and
That's a nice excuse, isn't it? Oh, I have problem.
yes.
I'm just joking, Jeanette.
But
That's
the thing
fine.
is, I can see the test from my computer here.
Okay.
I'm gonna read the one is for the second one.
No,
And
it's the
No. Let's go to the first one
no,
first.
my
So if you are in the second one, that's fine. When you come to the second one,
okay.
second one, then you can.
I'm gonna wait then.
So who's gonna go first? Dawn. Okay. After Dawn, Karina.
At the spiritual interchange, we find a big group of friends.
Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Tell me which paragraph is.
It's the first sentence on. It says under one beginner medium.
Yes, the one that I highlight.
Yes.
What is your question or comment? Oh, that's what the one that you like it?
I thought you wanted me to read it. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, like, do you guys want to read? But you can read fast because I am assumed that you have already read that and have already the.
No,
Okay,
that's okay.
Karina.
That's okay. Let's go on.
Karina, you're mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. It would be first, second, third paragraph where it says each medium has the duty to study. And that to me resonated a lot because that's what we are doing when we get together on Thursdays, when we get together on Sundays, even on Saturdays. It's that idea that there is no guarantee, like there is no guarantees in anything that we do, but the more prepared you are for something, the better you may perform. So that's what resonated with me.
Yes, thank you. And also the continuation of the message is very important because you may say, why you have to study? And I'll give an example on this. My daughter now is in college and she came home the other day and she said, why do I need to take this class? And if that's not what I'm gonna, do in life, I say, well, because you are training your mind. It's important because later when you are exercise or professional, you need to have a critical think. You need to think fast. You need to know how to solve problem. And even if you're not gonna need calculus because you're gonna do something that is not required, but the exercise you do, in calculus or in math, even if you're not gonna use math in your professional, will shape your thinking, how you solve problem. And that's what here basically I say each medium has the duty to study in order to discern and to harvest the fruit of his good work. Perfect. That's a good point. Thank you, Karina.
Can I make a little comment on a question?
Yes.
Like, I was thinking, if you are somnambulic, those that are unconscious medium, and the person would say, well, it's not me that are filtering because I am unconscious. So how you respond to this thing of have to study? In what sense it will help this type of medium to be a better medium? Is to filter the quality of the spirit that approaches,
Yes.
not the message. Because the message
No.
is automatic. The person is not filtering.
Yeah.
So how you respond to this type of argument that the person will say, well, for what I have to study?
So the main reason is to know how to control yourself. I mean, you are the medium, okay? So in the case of what you brought, and I can discuss this in two examples because it's good to bring example for that. In the case that you brought about somnambulic. Somnambulism is the medium that goes and see things and come back, and it's like the medium is not the medium, the intermediary of the spirit. They are intermediary of him or herself. You know what I mean?
How about the automatic writing, like Devaldo, he
Okay.
said he doesn't know what he's writing.
So why is it important you know that? Because you don't want it to be the instrument of things that will harm or will bring some information that's not helpful. You know, so you need to be, as they've made the discernment. What is the discernment? What is discernment? Is the capability that we should have discerned to make a decision if something will harm or not. So, for example, in a mediumist meeting, if the medium doesn't know how to control him or herself, and this happened many times, a spirit come very angry. And what the spirit want to do, the spirit want to curse, the spirit want to hit the table, the spirit want to turn the table out. And if the medium doesn't have the knowledge or the training to control that impulse, the medium is going to do everything that the spirit wants. And now the medium become a puppet of the spirit. And completely is not helping the spirits, is not helping that situation. So that's the one of the things that is very important. It's everything is training, as everything in life, as Karina mentioned. You don't give a car to a teenager or someone to drive if they have not go to the training lessons, because they will crash the car, they will kill himself or herself, and they will kill other people because they don't have that training. So we are talking here about the training of our mind when we receive influence from other minds. So I'm going to ask a question to the group. If you are at work, if a colleague comes to you and say, hey, Mr. So-so, I want you to go to your boss and tell this things to your boss. What are you going to do? You're going to, okay, I'm not going to tell that because you're going to be fired. So the discernment is very important. I'm just giving like a example that is to illustrate that. The big problem in mediumship is that we are not trained for that. We are not trained to observe that what comes to your mind is not yours. Because then either you're going to basically think, okay, I'm going crazy. It never raised the opportunity that maybe I'm capturing, voices that is not my voice, especially after you do all the medical exams and see that everything looks fine. Okay. What else? Let's go to Vladimir.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that portion of the text also caught my attention, especially on the paragraph, I think it's the fourth paragraph, which says the simple fact that mediums easily transmit commentaries and messages does not release them from responsibility for the presentation, orientation, and application of the subject for which they become interpreters.
Perfect.
It's to me, because we have a friend who is a ostensive medium, so he incorporates, and he already made a comment to us that sometimes he remembers what he said, other times he doesn't. When he incorporates. Yeah, when he incorporates. So I guess like you said, obviously, it depends on. It requires a lot of training, but also a lot of trust on both ways, right? And also this friend, he jokes saying that the phone rings from there to here. He can never call from here to the spiritual realm. You know, he says the phone always rings from the spiritual realm to us here. So,
I wanted to make
but
a correction on that. In
mm,
fact, that sentence was Emmanuel that told Chico. Chico
mm-hmm,
was the one that used to say this a lot. I just want to give credit to Chico because that, so we repeat this because I say this all the time, but
yeah,
just to know where this come from, you
okay.
know?
And it's true. So knowing that the phone rings from the spirit realm to us, you have I think it's hard. It's not impossible, of course, but it's hard and it demands a lot of experience to be able to judge. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess you have. I think the next text says something like related to this, when it says that you have to tune yourself to the good spirits. For example, the second text. I'm sorry if I'm moving forward, but I think it has relation. The third paragraph on the text number 2 says, if you alter and elevate yourself through your thoughts, you'll be able to attain noble vibrations. If you become disturbed and harsh, you become in tune with coarser energies. So I guess everything goes together, right? You have to keep your mind fine tuned with the high spirits. You have to teach yourself and to distinguish what is good and what is bad in terms of vibration that you're receiving, um, and also study. So I guess a combination of everything. I know it's easy to say, but yeah, I guess that's the challenge, right?
Yes. Thank you, Vladimir. And also, Vladimir, I just wanted to clarify here that, for example, when we do mediumship meeting in spirituals, when we do in group, okay? So, and there is different types of mediumships in the sense that there is psychograph, that there is psychophony, like when the medium speak what the uh, spirit is talking to the medium. When the medium just do the automatic write, the automatic writing is the easiest one for the medium to develop, because even if you are conscious or unconscious, so whatever you psychograph, so later you can evaluate, you can look at back and say, okay, this is not good message, so I'm not gonna even like worry about this. I'm gonna trash, because definitely this is not a good spirit. By the message, we can judge which kind of spirit is bring to us, is bring that message. So that's an easy one. And Kardec in the Medium's book mentioned that if you want to exercise your mediumship, first, we need to be in a group. But for example, you are at home and suddenly you are in your gospel home and then you feel you wanted to write something. It's not advisable. I'm not telling you to do that. Please don't do it. But you feel that thing that you need to write something. I'm not gonna say don't write anything, just write. But after that, read and use discernment. And if you don't know if that message really is a message that um, you need to pass, ideally you should go through, you need to bring the message to someone that special, like, okay, can you read this, let me know what you think, this makes sense, you know um in spiritism we don't advise people to do this, but I know there is a lot of people that do this. As long as you don't, okay, I'm gonna get all this mess and publish, because so the question is, first, you read the message. That's why in our just meeting, every message that comes, we read the message and we have kind of like the whole group participate, and we come to a conclusion. Is this message a message that we can share this with our community, or is just a message for us here? And sometimes the message just for you, and is advice for you. And you don't want to share that message, especially if that message is call your attention, you know And then you say, okay, this is not going to harm. Let me try to change this. But thank you, Vladimir. Samia, you wanted to complement?
So, in case when you incorporate as a medium, you incorporate, how can you judge? And if happens that you incorporate and then we are not aware about the message that is being passing. So, how do you judge that this is a good message or not a good message? I mean, I feel like you keep to you need to keep yourself in high vibrations, and then you know that good spirits are coming to talk through you, using your body and your voice. But sometimes I feel like, as someone who is a medium and incorporates, how can the medium judge about the message?
That's why we need to have a group. You know, it's not like it's the message. So a medium here is something that we need to clarify. Be a true medium and the spiritism is be a medium of good and the spirit that is not well. You know, so for example, in our mediumist meeting, and we call this in spiritism we call uh, um, disobsession meetings. What is the disobsession meeting? Is those meetings, we can use a light word here, a rescue meeting, okay? What is those rescue meeting? That happens a lot in Spirit Center. It's a mediumist meeting that mainly the spirits that comes is suffering, a spirit that is suffering. And the group is there to help that spirit to find their way or to receive treatment or to receive guidance, you know? So majority of the spirit that comes, they are suffering. So what do you do with a spirit that incorporate? We say incorporate, but in fact the spirit doesn't go to. But this is a word that we use. Spirit comes with all this suffering and all this emotional imbalance, emotion, or even angry, upset with other people. What do you do? It's like a hospital when people come to the ER. So that's why we have a team that helps. And you said something. We are not there to judge the spirit. We are there to rescue the spirit. We are there to guide the spirit, because that spirit that's suffering can be a loved one, you know. And by doing this, there is two things that we learn. We as a group, as a medium, we are learn from other people's mistake, because sometimes they disclose to us why they are feeling that way, and then we kind of go home like, oh my goodness, I guess I should also change the way I'm thinking about this person, that person, because when we go to the other side, we're not going to change, because we don't have the physical body. We continue with our feelings and emotion that if we don't work this out here, so we also gonna live with those experience in the other side. And is a charitable work. But also, Samia, receive message from a spirit that is friendly spirit, that come with advices, what comes and give some orientation to the group, some orientation for, we have already message that came specific for a person, and what we do as a group, you read that message, and we decide, okay, should we give this message to that person? Because it could be how do you say, spirit that wanted to deceive, deceiving spirit, to cause more problem to that person. And then we decide some of the message that came, okay, this really is a good message for the person. So we handle that message privately to the person. Only the person does know. And this has happened in our society. And a lot of spirit centers in Brazil, they do this. But we judge this before we pass that message. And everything needs to be discreet, it needs to be respectful, and we need to analyze if that information will help the person, or will disturb the person more. because everybody. So when we go to the Spirit Center, we go to also receive the blessings, but majority of us, we are fighting with our suffering. We wanted to improve our life, and we are eager to have a message from the Spirit telling us what to do it. Good Spirit, the mentors, they always is going to give the message that is very, it's not specific to one person, but it's for the community. And we have been sharing those messages in our meetings, especially like some occasion like New Year's, or when we have our general meetings, assemblies. So we have shared some of those messages. Some of our talk we bring, we have bring some message that we receive that is more like for our community, but doesn't mean that there is no message for individual person. Yeah, we had those experience before, but it's not the main objective of our center. Some spirit center in Brazil, they have medium that they only do this all the time, and we are not here to to tell that this is bad, wrong, because it's probably the mission of that center, of that medium. Chico brought a lot of message, Divaldo brings a lot of message, but we prefer to stay with the message that's already published in the books, because that is also a consolation message to us. But thank you, Samir. Anyone else have any comment about the first message? I think all I don't see any hands. I guess the whole message is very important, and thank you, Vladimir and Diasco and Karina, for bringing the highlight. Of course, studying and I like this message that you just mentioned. I like, especially like not the last paragraph, but let me see here. The last paragraph. Mediums of phenomenon arise from all places. Oh, I'm not showing to you. Sorry. I need to highlight here. This one. Mediums of phenomena arise from all places and all positions. Mediums from construction of happiness among individuals are only those who are authentic servants of humanity. I like this one because they say, look, there is all kind of mediums, because mediumship is something that is inherent to our physiology, because it's our organic faculty. So each one of us, we have this faculty, so we are responsible for what we pass around, what we use to help or to destroy as well. Especially in this time that we are now moved to election time. So we need to be very careful what you post in Facebook, what we say, because we may be work as a medium, from our minds that have signed. And in spiritism, we should not, we should have our conviction, we should vote, we should do whatever, but let's be doing this in a private way. If you're engaged in things that will transform our society, that's fine, but let's not mix with this moment that we are as a society. And we need to be asked the question, should I really, if you have to talk about, of course, you can talk about politicians, about our position, that's fine, there is nothing wrong. In spiritism, there is one thing that's very important, free will. We have the free will to be, but we cannot use that to create this, turmoil. You know what I mean? So let us use that to unify, to accept our difference, to respect one another. And that is the challenge, because I see a lot of spiritists in the social media that oh my goodness, you say that you're a spiritist, if you have to put a comment, just put a comment, but be, like what we learned charitable at some point, you have to measure what we're gonna put out there, because you don't want it to be the instrument of more divisions, Okay, let us move to the second one. So I guess someone, Jeanette, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, because it's the end of
That's fine. That's
yeah.
fine. You just pick whatever. What is the parts that call your attention?
My camera here. Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good.
No, but I
Yeah,
can highlight here for
yes,
everybody to see.
it's the last one for the second
This one?
text. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, the last one. No, no, the last, not the not the last one for the page. For the page. For the first page.
This one.
Yes, mediumship. Yes, mediumship, as the word implies, means to be an intermediary.
Hmm.
The main objective of, of the main objective is the
Objective.
presence of the mediator. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna read out because I have
Okay.
the conclusion here in my mind.
Okay.
What I want to say that we have to be like a mediator in the real life, before being in the medium on the table on the spirit center. We have to be a pacifier. We have to be understanding. You have to be the one who's gonna be, between the place you live. You're gonna be before there. You're gonna be a mediator. Someone who's gonna be aware of the situations that occurs around yourself. And if you're able to do that in your real life, that means you're able to do, you know, in the medianist situation, matter, place, whatever you want to say. This is my point. The see that happens in life.
Perfect. Yeah, I completely understand, Jeanette, and that's right. Because if you wanted to be a good instrument of the good spirit, so let us be a good instrument in our society with one another. And I think that is the idea. There is a message that if I find this message that they say like this: if you wanted to be a psychograph, a medium, that automatic medium, starts to write letters or encourage letters to people that are discouraged. If you wanted to be a medium that will be intermediary for a spirit that's suffering, starts to go to a local places to help people. So before you go and try to receive, to be a medium, you use one of those type of mediumship, start to do now with the incarnated one. Then later, you're going to be able to be a good medium for the discarnated one. Because sometimes people wanted to bring beautiful message, but they don't want to sit down and send encourage message to the friend or to people that is suffering. They don't. They wanted to receive from the Spirit, but they wanted to help the suffering spirit. But if you are invited to go to a, I don't know, nursing home or some place that you can devote your time to help people that needs, go to a nursing home and just talk to people that are there. Like sometimes there is lone people that is so alone that they need just someone to talk. And if you start to do that, so then you are be a good exercise. Your physiology should be a good instrument for the good spirit as well. Good point, Jeanette. Carl. Okay, I'll help you. So I think I can.
There we are.
Okay, good.
Good. Okay. My thought was from the very beginning, if you are accustomed to a great inner silence, after the practice of a noble moral behavior, you will hear, you will be able to sense subtle psychic impressions that will seem to vibrate, originating from the inner reaches of the mind. And I think the important thing there is that if you're accustomed to a great inner silence, first we have to listen if we're to hear. And we have to attune ourselves as much as we can to the more noble or loving thoughts that we have.
Yes. Yes, Carl, you perfect. Yeah, I think the message over there is very clear, isn't it? And I think goes along with what Jeanette was mentioned as well. So we need to train, we need to train how to, we need to educate our mind. We need to know ourselves. We need to be able to, if we try to do this exercise, at some point we're gonna easily identify, with kind of spirits. We are not saying that if you have a very well moral life, you only gonna have good spirit. No, you're gonna have a spirit that's suffering. Because so what people trust the most, so those that has a experience that can demonstrate some degree of trust, and we can use this for the conventional intellect area, but also for the moral area, and moral behavior is a key for this work of mediumship. Thank you, Carl. That was a good one. Albita.
Yeah, Albita, it's almost at the end of the first page.
Mm-hmm.
Start with do not exclude. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the whole paragraph. Do not exclude yourself from the task of mediumship if you are confronted by conflicts due to the level of conscience in which you, for time being, you may find yourself immersed. Try to rise to the task, sustained by good intentions, relying on the postulates of the doctrinal knowledge, whose existence and values will not permit you to stumble. So there are a couple of things that I like from here. The first one if you are a medium, it's because it's an opportunity that God is giving you to serve others and actually to improve yourself, right? So if we have that skill, we need just to go for it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when we start exercising mediumship, it is no doubt that things around us is going to start kind of falling apart because of our previous reincarnations, because of any mess of spiritism, because of the level of planet Earth. So it's like when we embrace a good cause, it's almost immediately that someone doesn't like it and is going to try to make our lives difficult. However, which is the author is Joanna De Angelis, she said, well, you just try. You will have, just sustain yourself by your good intentions. But the thing that I like the most is relying on the postulates of the doctrinal knowledge. So without the great work of Kardec, and it's not only the medium's book, but all the collections, without having that knowledge, is going to be very difficult for an ostensible medium to continue the journey and continue the task, because we need to understand not only ourselves, but what is going on around us. And as a personal note or experience, when finally got to realize that I was an ostensible medium and I start the studies at the SSB, You have this romantic ideal of mediumship. You see Chico Xavier, Divaldo, Raul, and all of this, and you have this kind of romantic idea of like, oh, maybe one day I will reach that level. Well, still I'm thinking one day I will. However, obstacles start to appear in your personal life, in your work life, in your family life, at the center itself. We need to embrace the doctrine and embrace Jesus, knowing that this is a service for goodness and that we're serving humanity. So if we know that we are under the wings of Jesus, we are in the right direction. Other than that, we will fail. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Alberta. And I think one of the things in this sentence that is very important is this one here. Good intentions. It's good intention as well. But here's the thing: it's not only the good intention, but also the sturdy and trust that this work, as Alba mentioned, will have a lot of uh, confrontation in the sense that you're gonna even like ask yourself many times, oh, is this a mystification? Is this me? Or is this? And let not this discourage you. I mean, like, I know that right now we are not practice mediumship, but in your day-to-day life, you may ask yourself, okay, I'm spending every 2 Sundays studying this, but is this something true? And then you may feel discouraged because you may question, you ask a question mentally, and they're gonna answer to you, and you think that you answer to yourself. They're gonna say, "Oh, don't waste your time with this," Especially nowadays that we have political debate on TV. You should go and watch the presidential debate. I'm just giving an example here. Oh, my show is gonna be Sunday at 7:30. I guess I'm not gonna continue this study anymore. So then you feel discouraged because doubt starts to arise, and also personal things start to happen, and then you feel discouraged. Of course, we are just mentioned this in a general way. I mean, you may have, a health problem, and that's fine. Let's take care of the physical body, but sometimes it's just question that arise, and we feel discouraged, and we feel that do other activity in this time that we are discussing, and you have to read, you have to understand that you may find out that's not for you, and that's fine. We're not gonna you know do like a blackmail here, but it's just an opportunity that is brings to you to understand more about your mind, about your senses, because this is one of the senses that we don't have much control. The 5 senses that we have, we know how to manipulate those senses. I don't like this, I don't eat. I smell this, I don't like this smell, I like this smell. I don't like to touch on this or that. I don't want to hear or to listen, so you just move it up. But this, the mediumistic faculty, we need to educate that. We need to educate that. Thank you, Albita. Who else?
Daniel, this is Dion
Johnny.
here.
Hey, Johnny. Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead,
hey.
Johnny.
No, I just want to emphasize what you guys are saying because I don't consider myself a ostensive medium. However, always being an English teacher, and since I came to the United States in customer service, and that means listen to people that are calling me not because they are happy. Um, I really recognize how important it is for you to mind your thoughts, to pray before you start your work day, and talk the less possible. You know what I mean? Just be concise, straight to the point. Because if you are not okay, you need to pray a lot. And if you're happy, you also have to pray a lot to mind your emotions, because it's unbelievable how if you are not in tune with that kind of, because the customer service is on service, right? And I would say on service to the Lord, because you are taking care of people. and difficult people. So it's unbelievable the control you have to have on yourself. And mediumship studies just helped me a lot through my life, because when I was a teacher, when I all these years being a customer service, I see that, and as Janette always says, that you have to be moderate and how did she say, uh, um, you have to soothe the person, to be in your reality, on your days, on your day by day. Try to be a nice mediator, not put more fire on the discussion. So I totally, I think this is, if I knew that before, when I was a teacher, or even when I started customer service, not to engage and be because you are used then, you know what I mean? This is what I felt. And people that work, I think, like a lawyer, like Dawn, and like you have to have a hold of yourself, because otherwise you are used by funny forces. So I think it's so elucidating, it's so useful to study these things, because it makes you on control. And the more you study, the more power you have, because you learn not because I am very impulsive, so I would engage in this and that. So I nowadays I prefer to just listen more than I talk, because in the past, I something that, as you said, you're going to be used by
Yes. Yes.
suffering spirits in all senses, the ones that want to cause a commotion, the ones that want people to be, you know what I mean, incriminated or teased or provoked. So I think it's not a question of being afraid, it's a question of
Mhm.
studying, because that is a power you have in your hands, not to be
Yes. Yes.
afraid, but
Yeah.
to use this knowledge, you know what I mean, in your favor, and to favor the other ones around you. And I think this is so valuable. I had to say
Thank you,
about,
Tony.
yeah, because I
Thank you
agree
for
with all of you guys.
thank you for your comment, and you're right. This knowledge first is for us. It's not. It's for us to have this opportunity to control ourselves. Thank you. Any other comment? Thank you, Johnny.
You're welcome.
Chris.
Yes, yes, the rest of what Jeanette read. Where it said, if you are conscientious of your responsibilities and maintain lucidity during the occurrence of the phenomena, you will not be led astray. So if you stay positive, know that you're supposed to get the messages, and you can't do wrong. It sounded better in my head, but yeah, or something like that.
No, that's fine. It's this part here, isn't it?
Yeah, and the first page.
Yeah, this one. Okay. No, thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's that's why it's important for us to know ourselves, and try to work on things that is not so great yet. Just a minute. Let me see. Someone raise your hand. Let me see. Karina.
Two because several of us mentioned the idea of becoming better and having higher vibrations, and I'm working on that on my end with different things that I do. One of them is meditation every Friday with a friend of mine, and it's helping me realize that sometimes I don't realize how I'm down, and how how deep you go, and you don't realize that you are becoming maybe darker in your thoughts, and it takes just a split of a second, and you go to, deep, and then you realize, oh, shoot, I need to do something else. I need to change this. So increasing that energy, being aware of what is happening, I think that at least it's helping me be more on guard and be more careful. So I'm putting a lot into that meditation, and sometimes, I sense something, or when I'm feeling funny, I'm like, I don't get scared. I just know, okay, I'm sensing something here, it's not quite right, and I go high. And that's the idea. I go high. Like I get that handle and I pull it up as much as I can, because I'm recognizing now, and it's through knowing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Argentina, I would see my psychologist like once a week, and I recall him saying that I had no issues into going deep into my soul and digging everything out, putting everything on the table and saying, okay, here's this mess, where do I start? And I have never had that issue, but he did say not everybody is able to do that, to go deep in our souls and try to see what's bothering you, what's causing that pain, what's not healed, bring it to consciousness and work on getting it better, work on improving it. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of willingness to do it. And all of this is related to this paragraph number 7 that starts with without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, without a doubt, scrupulous attention must always guide the medium in all the tasks to which that individual sincerely dedicates he or himself. However, it is important to remember that excessive caution can be as pernicious as the lack of it. And so that's what was resonating with me. But at the same time, I have a question. With that last part, it says excessive caution. Why is that? Why could that be a problem?
Okay. Every time we go to the extreme, we are in danger. Okay. So for this excession caution, I'm going to give an example to you. There are people that is very critical with him or herself. For example, they say like this: "Oh, who am I? Oh, I cannot give a talk." Or I'm just giving an example here. Oh, I cannot. Is this a spirit or is this my mind? So you start to question in a point that you're not gonna move on. And sometimes it is more vanity. Vanity? That's to say.
Yeah, vanity.
Vanity, like it's more like pride. You don't want to give a chance to, so you are so excessive in yourself, and then you don't open up to give an opportunity. One thing that I've been learning with spiritism, and we are here to, not because we are perfect, we are here doing the work to become perfect. It's not the other way around, because sometimes we think, oh, who am I? Well, we are a child of God. We are not perfect. We understand that. But at least let me give a chance. Let me give a chance to do that. And sometimes we put a lot of obstacle to exercise, to do something that's good. And this excessive thing is the opposite of the lack of a caution. So we need to really find this middle, the balance in the level that we are, and Buddhism and all the philosophy always bring that, the balance. What is the balance for everything? There is no expectation that we are perfect, that everything we do is perfect. There is no, that Christ know that, So we need to do the best that we can now, without always analyze what I'm doing here is going to benefit me. Check, good. But also it's going to benefit other. 2 checks, super good. But everything you do just benefit yourself and doesn't benefit other people, then you need to reevaluate that. So if it's going to benefit you, and by benefit you will help others, perfect. Let's move on. Even if with the feelings of be afraid or not feel capable. Look, if we gonna just highlight, let me go back. I think this happened to us, and this is part of our nature, because what comes to my mind is that where we focus, our focus in life, sometimes we have different focus, but because of the survive mode that we are wired, our brain, so our brain is wired to identify pain, suffering, because that is part of our natural evolution. And then we give so much focus, importance to the negative. Then we sometimes forget that we have positive things. And in nature, in biology, and now I'm talking about my area, in biology, so if we study evolution, the brain was created to survive. To survive. And the way to survive is like, okay, there is pain, there is suffering. Okay, let me memorize this. And this is stay. This is stay with you. And this is imprinting the perispirit. That's why trauma, that's why suffering, everything that you have is because it's process is part of our evolution. The challenge here is for us to focus in the positive, but not too much in the positive, and neglect also the survive mode. Because there is people that think that, this is a perfect place. It's not. we are here learning to become perfect. And that's why in this sentence, Karina, they bring this balance. We should not be excessive caution. We should not. It is important to remember that excessive caution can be as pernicious as the lack of, as the lack of what else? Of the lack of it. So it's find this balance. That's we learn with time. We learn by living together, by get to know ourselves. I think because of time, who else has something to say and was not? I can give. You can raise your hand. Barbara, your camera is open, so good to see you. Do you want to say something? Also, Mateus, that the camera is not open. I would like to. Oh, Rosaura, or Maria, and those that has not said anything yet. No. No.
I don't have, because the ones I had, somebody already said. So I agree with everything was said before. So I already.
Which one was yours?
I had a couple, but the most, the one that no, in fact, there is one that nobody said. It's the last paragraph of the last page, and which touched me is to Jesus continues to be conscious of his duties, awaiting those individuals who conscientiously and as either automatons desire to cooperate in his vineyard of light. So I think when I read this last sentence, like it took me to a higher level understanding mediumship that's not really so disconnected. It connected me to something, a mission much higher.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, guys, we are 9:01. I know that we can stay here for more 1 hour, but because we have a commitment with the spiritual plane, um, I know that, and I'm glad that we have this meeting just to go back to this message. For all things that we have been learning, I would like you to pay attention and take in consideration those messages, these two messages, because that is the guideline for us to become, it, there is no expectation here that you're going to sit in a medium's meet. That's not the idea. We are studying. It's for you to apply this in your life and always bring in consideration that every time, as Johnny mentioned, in your work, especially this time, a political thing, be mindful. Be mindful what your emotions, what your thoughts coming before you vomit something. I'm saying vomit, but before you say something that you're gonna regret later. And because of and it's very important, especially in this moment that we live, that is so divided, that we become like Jeanette was mentioned, someone that will pacify, that will see the difference of the other one, and despite of the difference, we can, walk together, stay together, not create any animosity with one another, not take the difference as a personal thing. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's very important we be mindful, because if we are not mindful with this environment that our planet is living right now, we're going to become an instrument of those minds that wanted to cause problems. And I have someone that came here to pray with me, with us. So let us do our final prayer. Who is the volunteer? No. We need to pray. Who's going to be our one that's going to help us to bless our meeting? Não, meu filho, a gente vai rezar agora. Tá bom? Olha o quanto de gente que tem aqui que vendo você. Vamos fazer a nossa prece? Let's do our final prayer. I'm saying Portuguese because I only talk in Portuguese with him. Sorry about that. So, who is the volunteer? Albita? Okay, Albita, please help us.
Okay. Vita. Dear Master Jesus, our mentor and guide, our older brother, the million of God. We are very grateful for these moments of learning, studying, meditation, learning about ourselves, our own emotions, accepting our skills and the gifts that God gave us, and sharing a common ideal. We pray that we continue going deeper in this study of mediumship lessons 4 and 5 tonight during our intelligent sleep. Guide us to the spiritual room that belongs to the Spirit Society of Baltimore so we can continue deepen our learning with mentors and teachers in the spirit realm. We are not alone in this task. And if we are here all together learning of this specific topic, it is because sooner or later will be an instrument in your hands for your service. May your love bless our homes and families. May your kindness guide us through the week and give us peace. May your love bless us all in this nation, in this world, and so be it.
So be it. Thank you. Let us take our screenshot. Rafael, come, Rafael. Ooh, I have my guardian angel here with me.
obsessor.
That's why you're dressed in black. Just kidding. Okay, one more. Just a minute. All right, I can see a dog over there. What is the cat? What is your dog, Juliana?
Downstairs.
Now, Juliana has a dog. Guys, thank you so much. What else? Meu filho, fica quietinho. Papai tá falando. I'm sorry, guys, because this guy here, he wanted to, be the speaker here now. So you guys saw the calendar for this month of October. So July, I was like, why am I thinking about July? So if you wanted to, continue join us on Saturdays, on Thursday, please feel free. Any question? Any comment? Sorry, you guys. Everybody's okay. Antonia, bye, Antonia. So Rafael is all over the
Bye,
place.
everyone.
Okay, good night.
Thank
I
you.
was waving at him, but he didn't do anything.
Bye. Good night.
Bye, good night. Good
Good
night.
night.
Hey, Janete.